Yo, man, it is your boy, SasukeUzumaki, back again with episode 8 of the Q&A series. This is all the gameplay that you guys are watching is all from E3. Just decided to re-upload it again since I'm so excited for MKX. So from Legendary Super Saiyan, who do you think the surprise bad guy will be at the end of MKX? Alright, so I'm going to assume you're talking about the end of story mode, right? What I will say is that I think that the main bad guy in Mortal Kombat X will be Shinnok, and that when you have Shinnok, you also have Quan Chi. But if you're talking about the story mode, then honestly, I don't know, because I don't know if MKX is going to be the final Mortal Kombat game, you know, or if it's gonna go on for maybe one more session, you know, after this. But at the end of MKX's story mode, if there is a bad guy, I couldn't say, but the surprise bad guy who I think will be the main villain as far as like arcade mode or a playthrough would be, I think it's going to be Shinnok. So I'm still hoping that Shinnok is the main bad guy in this game. So from the Great Wrestling Ranger, will you do an Xbox One unboxing, and if so, and setup? My bad. Wow, I did not read that question fast enough. Alright, so you asked if I'm going to do an Xbox One setup or an unboxing, and why I did the Smash Bros. Series. I have done Smash Brothers videos in the past, but I did those like years ago, so those videos are pretty outdated. I did a couple playthroughs for Classic Mode and also Super Smash Brothers Brawl. I'm not going to get an Xbox One, so no, to answer that question. I answered that in the last video, that I'm going to get a PS4 and not an Xbox One, simply because of the whole spying controversy thing, where the Kinect always has to be on and shit. So no, not interested. I'm not interested in a video game system watching my every fucking move, and it has to be online all the time for it to work, apparently. So no Xbox One for me. So from Dan Walker, who do you like better, Sasuke or Naruto, and why? That's hard to say. I like both characters in their own way. But I would say overall, I like Naruto more, because he has more of my personality, instead of like being a cold-hearted, you know, and somewhat ruthless persona like Sasuke. You know, Naruto, he really cares about his friends. You know, he's very loving, he's very kind. You know, he gave people a chance. You know, he kind of looked at, you know, people like Gaara. You know, he kind of felt sorry for them. You know, because, you know, they both grew up with rough childhoods and everything. You know, he wanted to do everything to protect his friends. You know, to remain loyal to them. And he's very persistent in following his dreams, and he's very serious about becoming Hokage. So I really admire that about Naruto. But I do like Sasuke as a character overall too, though. But I think Naruto relates to me more on a personal level. So I would say Naruto more. Alright. So from, oh my god, my thing, Jagar Nayar, what do you think the manga when the manga ends, who do you think will become Hokage, Sasuke or Naruto? Naruto. I don't see Sasuke becoming the Hokage. I really don't. Because it wouldn't make sense if, you know, if Kishimoto just spat out all this, you know, all that talk from Naruto about him wanting to become a Hokage, and how hard he worked, you know, to get stronger over the years, to even, you know, help his best friend, you know, emerge out of the darkness that he had throughout his life, especially as a teenager, you know, and then Sasuke just becomes Hokage. No, I don't think so. Especially with like what he did after the 5 Kage summit. No, so I think Naruto is going to become a Hokage. I think it'll be better for the plot that way if it just ends with Naruto becoming Hokage, you know, instead of just crushing his dreams. Alright, so from Sprite Chasers, what is the worst MK game you have played, and why do you think it's the worst? The worst MK game, I don't know. There isn't really an MK game that I didn't like, or at least give a chance. Because I've mainly played the main series, but I don't know. For worst, I would say probably Mortal Kombat 2, but not because I didn't like the game, but because of the experience I had playing that game. The AI was just very ridiculous of how it was programmed. You know, you couldn't change the difficulty, and it seemed like, you know, even like with the first couple of characters, you know, you fight, the AI reads all your moves, and you know, it takes like a long time for me to just beat one arcade playthrough. It takes like maybe 30-40 minutes for me to beat it with one character. So I think, as far as experience is concerned, Mortal Kombat 2 is the worst game for me. Alright, so, my god, my computer. Cruiser 54, are you ever going to play Mortal Kombat vs. DC and do a playthrough of the story mode? Yes, I am going to do MK vs. DC. It's gonna be a minute though, because I want to wait, you know, even before I finish Mortal Kombat 2011. I'm gonna wait a while before I finish that series, because I want to get an Elgato. My HD PVR with the live you know, has been giving me problems. You know, it freezes sometimes, and CyberLink Power Director 12 isn't really an ideal program for editing audio. So, like with the last 4 playthroughs I've had, you know, I've had audio desyncs, and it really drove me crazy, because I spent too much time editing that, you know, editing all those playthroughs and saving them just for it to be fucked up. So I'm gonna wait a while, but yes, I will do MK vs. DC. Alright, so from Dan Walker again, which do you like more, Dragon Ball Z or Naruto? Dragon Ball Z. I grew up on that show, so I really don't think that there's any action anime that would ever top what Dragon Ball Z brought to the table. You know, like I said, you know, with the insane power-ups, you know, the Super Saiyan transformations, you know, come on. Where now you have it to the point to where, like, they're fighting like gods, even though Naruto kind of implemented that aspect with Hashirama and Madara Uchiha. But I believe personally that if it wasn't for Dragon Ball Z, you wouldn't have, you know, action animes like Naruto and Bleach and Hunter x Hunter, One Piece. You know, if it wasn't all from, you know, having the inspiration from Akira Toriyama for other manga artists and writers out there in the anime community. So for me, Dragon Ball Z wins over any action anime, period. So from Sprite Chasers again, will you upload some Dragon Ball gameplay in the near future? Well, Xenoverse does not come out until like March of next year, so we have like what 7 months for that. But I have done some videos of Raging Blast 2, Ultimate Tenkaichi, and Budokai Tenkaichi 3, Tenkaichi 1, and Tenkaichi 2 all on my channel, but those videos are all old and stuff. And I even did a story mode playthrough of all the sagas on my other channel, Sharingan Stare, and those got really popular. So I don't know, maybe I'll go back to DBZ if I get the Raging Blast series. But I won't get Ultimate Tenkaichi because that game just flat out sucks, and I probably won't pick up Battle of Z either. You know, kind of like and to me it was a bit overrated. So I'll probably just go back to Raging Blast or Budokai Tenkaichi 3 if I do any DBZ. So from Jonathan Duta, who's your favorite character in Mix? His other comment said MKX, but that's what he meant. He meant MKX. As far as the new characters are concerned, my favorite character is Kotal Khan, because he looks so cool. Death comes to all. You know, he has like the whole Aztec thing going on, and Ed Boon confirmed that Kotal Khan is the ruler of Outworld in this game. So yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. So maybe the name of Khan kind of you know, I don't know, maybe it's just used as a title for like a warlord or a conqueror or an emperor, you know, because you have Shao Kahn and then you have Kotal Khan, but they're not related. I think some of the members, I think one of the members said that Kotal Khan and Shao Kahn are not related. I think so. I think Khan just might be a title for the rulers of Outworld. So Shao Kahn and Kotal Khan may not have any relation whatsoever to each other at all. But for the old school characters, you know, it's obviously between Scorpion and Sub-Zero. For you guys who watch my channel, you guys already know that, you know, it's Scorpion and Sub-Zero. They're like the coin that I can never have a side to land on, you know, when it comes to those characters, because they're my favorite two ninjas in the Mortal Kombat series and male characters in general. Alright, so, oh god, my player is messing up. Who's your favorite cybernetic MK Warrior from Sprite Chasers. I'm sorry, at the time I'm making this video, the recording, my computer is lagging, so the questions are like kind of going by over my head. But as far as the cybernetic warriors are concerned, you have to go back from the MK trilogy days, I suppose. So I would say Cyrax was my favorite of the cybernetic ninjas. You know, and even in MK 2011, you know, he was the best character that I felt that I was comfortable with using, with all his combos and reset traps. He was a very, very versatile character, you know, perhaps even broken. You know, that's why he got patched so many times, but even after all those patches, you know, Cyrax was still a very strong character because the MK community just abused the shit out of his resets. So I would say Cyrax is my favorite of the cybernetic ninjas. Though it does suck, though. You know, Cyrax didn't even want to become a cyborg. You know, but Sector did. Sector was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do it for my father," but the cyber initiative will eliminate insubordination. All right. So next question from, I think it's from Jonathan Duta again. I think. Damn. Shit. I did not read the question. Fuck. I think it was, who was your favorite character in Injustice? In Injustice, I think. I answered that question already. It's Batman. In the last episode, or in episode 6, I think, I answered that question. Batman is my favorite character to use in Injustice. I know how to play with him. He was the first character I played as, you know, since he's my favorite DC hero, and then after that it was Superman. So it's not the same thing with like the whole coin concept I made with Scorpion and Sub-Zero as those two being my favorite characters, but Batman would be first, and then Superman is a very close second. So, you know, because Batman is more of a realistic hero than Superman is. You know, that's not to take away anything from you Superman fans out there, but you know. But Batman, he's my favorite character in all of DC and in Injustice. Okay. Alright, so let's go on to the next question here. Oh, crap, my video player is going slow. I did not catch that. Damn. I think it's, the redesign for Kano, okay. Kano, he kind of reminds me of, Jax and Suhao, because, you know, Suhao had that giant cybernetic laser implanted in his chest, and Kano's arms are like, they're not, like, he has his human arms still, but, you know, they're covered in, like, cybernetics. So, you know, Kano has that whole Suhao and Jax thing kind of going, but he does look a lot more stronger in comparison to how, you know, how he played in MK 2011. So I'm very excited, you know, about what Kano can do. I thought the reveal would have been like, I think I would have preferred the reveal to be a new character, to be honest. But I'm glad that there was a new character reveal anyway. And his X-ray is pretty brutal too, you know, where he slashes you across the chest and then he blasts you in the back of the head, out the back of the head, you know, for a fatality. All right, guys. So that's it for this episode. Feel free to leave your comments below for the next episode. Peace.